So warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. Allow me to just share my screen and go through a bit of an introduction of today's session with you. So my name is Valeria Martorelli. I am the change manager for the Union product database, and I will take you through the session together with my colleagues Beyan, Andre, and Conrad. So this webinar will be focused on the first veterinary marketing authorization holders read-only API. And in terms of housekeeping, so as I said, this session is being recorded. So if you don't want to be in the recording, please make sure your camera is switched off. You will find the recording and the slides on the events webpage, and you will be able to ask questions at the end via Slido. So you should already have the link, but if you want to log into Slido and use this code UPD-API, you will be able to send questions throughout the presentation. So let me just hand over to Beyan, our product owner, for the agenda, and then to take you through a bit of an introduction.
Thank you. And good morning to all the colleagues that have joined today. I see that we have over 60 attendees. I know that approximately 100 colleagues have registered for this webinar, but in the interest of time, we'll start now. What we have on the agenda for today is, of course, the welcoming from my side. I'm Beyhan Mustafov, the UPD product owner from the European Medicine Agency side. Next, I will pass to Conrad, who will also give an introduction on the industry API, which is the main topic of our webinar today. Conrad is the business analyst from the European Medicine Agency. Then it will be Andre, who will also provide you a live demo of the API for the industry and how it is functioning. He's our sport architect. I will continue next with some useful guidance and tips for takeaway messages. And then we will have approximately probably 20 minutes for a question and answer as last part of the webinar today. And now I would like to move to our first slide for this. Valeria, can I ask you to change? Okay. You are all well aware that the Union product database went live 3 years ago in January 2022. And up until now, for the last 3 years, the Union product database was accessible via two main routes for the marketing authorization holders. Of course, the first one is the public portal, which is accessible also to general public, NCAs, literally everyone. And there is the restricted area. And I'm very well familiar that up until now, you have been using only the UI as accessing the Union product database as marketing authorization holders. Since end of January, an access to the Union product database is also available for marketing authorization holders via the read-only API. Okay, what the read API for the industry users means, it allows marketing authorization holders to search, browse, also export and detect changes into the database, but also keep their data current with their local system. And it provides access to the full product portfolio, which belongs to the logged in marketing authorization holder, and it is only in read mode for the industry users. That API that it is available does not allow write access to the union product database. And with this very brief introduction, I would like to hand over now to Konrad for some further insight on the API. Konrad, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm the BA that's working on UPD, but at the moment, I only see here we go. So I'm just going to outline briefly the kind of data that will be available through the API and how we store it. Please bear in mind that if you want a complete list of all the attributes that are that make up part of our product data, you can find that in Chapter 2 of the Vet EU Implementation Guide, and this will also tell you what data types each element is supposed to be. And furthermore, the data that we have is the responsibility of the competent authorities who create and maintain the product data that we house. Now, the format that we use is called the FHIR format. It's the Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resource, and it can be read as a JSON or XML file. Now, on the left-hand side of this slide is the different resources which compose a FHIR message. And the ones which are highlighted in dark blue with the yellow border are the ones which the MAHs can access through the API. So, for example, you can find the marketing authorization status or what manufactured item make up a particular packaged medicinal product. So we make use of control terminologies, which means that certain term names or terms that you might see or expect to see in the FHIR message are codes. And I'm going to give you 3 examples for each of the 3 different types of control terminologies that we use. And the next slide. So yes, the top one here is a snippet. So these are all snippets from a FHIR message. The top one is we're looking at the legal status of supply, and you will see certain attributes that compose this particular attribute. And if you look at the bottom, you see a system and a code. Now, in this case, this is referring to an RMS term. So that's our referentials database. We read all terms from our different resources. So in this case, we're looking at the referentials, but we also have substances and organizations, which is OMS. So for RMS, we see that we have a list which ends in 2051. And if you go to RMS and look up this list code, you'll see that this list stands for the legal status for the supply. So all terms that belong to this list will be housed in that particular RMS list. Now, the particular term code that we have here is ends in 698. And if you look up this RMS term, you will see that it corresponds to the veterinary medicinal product subject to veterinary prescription. Now, the real takeaway message here is that in the FHIR bundle, you will find codes instead of these names. And to find these names, you'll need to reference these external databases. And the second one is substances. So we have a substances database called SMS. And once again, if you look at the code with underneath the substance snippet, you will see that it ends in 676, I believe. And if you look up this SMS term, you'll find that it correlates to enrofloxacin. And finally, we have a similar database for organizations where we store all the location IDs and org IDs in OMS, which is our organization database. And here the term code is held in the URL. At the end, you see a loc ID. And if you would look up this loc ID in OMS, you'll find that it corresponds to the European Commission in this case. All right. Now, as an MAH, you need to perform several steps in order to get access to the API. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to request the role of industry super user in the EMA account management portal for your organization. Then, as an industry super user, you will log into EAM again, and there you will request access to the API for UPD. Once you've done this, you will receive an email with your API credentials as you being the industry super user. Once you have your credentials, you can access the API. We have guidelines for each of these steps, which are listed in the slide. So, for example, we have a registration guide that you can use in order to see exactly which steps to take once you have your super user role. We also have the detailed instructions on how to access and format your GET request through the API on the Vet EU IG Chapter 4. So once you have your super user credentials, you can create your message there, look up the guidelines and create your request. And finally, we have a list of the endpoints, which is in the API specifications hyperlink here, which are the exact endpoints that you can access as the MAH super user. Finally, if your products belong to a different org ID or lock ID, you need to repeat this process. So you need to request industry super user role again for each one. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Andre, who's going to give us a demo of how it all works.
Thank you, Conrad. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andre Ido. I'm the Spore Platform Architect, and I will be showing you how to use the endpoints that we have exposed from UPD for marketing authorization holders. And I'll walk you through the main use cases of using the API. Right, so I'm sharing a tool that you can use to query RESTful APIs. It's called Postman. It is enabling me to give this demo. The expectation is that you can use this tool or other tools to do your manual checks. And then you will probably most likely integrate your internal systems to the UPD API and have that as an integration. So as per the UPD registration guide, there are details on how to gain the necessary credentials for accessing the API. I've configured a set of credentials here in Postman. We use the OAuth 2 client credentials flow for accessing. So I've set up here an OAuth 2 approach on Postman. This would be something configured on your application on your side. And for OAuth 2, we have a access token endpoint that is shared through an, after self-servicing the credentials, you will have this information shared by email. Please check, like I mentioned, the registration guide. So what you will get is a registration token URL, a client ID, a client secret, and the scope of the APIs. And with that, you have enough information to be able to use the OAuth 2 standard to authenticate against our APIs. So once you have that, then you can proceed to use the endpoints. What we're exposing are read-only endpoints, mainly for searching product data, reading all the details about medicinal products and finding documents related to them, as well as seeing the history of product data. So I'll walk you through those kind of endpoints. What is important to understand is that as a marketing authorization holder, you're based on the access policy, you are able to see medicinal products that you are the marketing authorization holder of. So there will be a specific set of products that you'll be able to see. So the first endpoint that I will show you is the search endpoint. We're using, as Conrad mentioned, the FHIR standard. And then our endpoints are also implemented to use the search criteria defined by the FHIR standard. We're using a specific version of that. Please check check the R implementation guide as well. It is R5 Preview 2. So then you will be able to see exactly what this version of FHIR supports in general and what is the data model of that. I'll briefly show you what information is there. Yeah, so I'm using XML here because it's a bit easier for me to navigate. The API returns either XML or JSON. I will show that briefly. So for now, I've done a search here. You can mention the domain of the products that you're searching for. It may be that the company that you are representing, the organization, might have both human and veterinary products. With a registration for UPD, you'll only be able to see veterinary products. I'm actually filtering here on the domain of veterinary products. That's not mandatory, but I've done that to showcase that you're able to see only those kind of products. And then on the search endpoint, we are searching medicinal product definitions. That is a specific FHIR resource, and that is what your search will retrieve. This FHIR resource contains a specific set of data, and that is limited to what that FHIR resource has. So, you have names or manufacturing business operation information, contact information, and so on. However, if you want to see all the data about a product, you then need to use a different endpoint. I will show you in a minute. To show you other functionality of FHIR, you can, so a very basic search query parameter is searching products by name. So within your catalog of products, you can search by name and see if that works for now. We have a lot of test products in this test environment, so I'm searching for the products that start with test. And we also need to wait a bit. The performance of the production environment is a lot better than searching on our test environment. Or as with any demo, indeed, we may run into issues. So in any case, there has been an error. We're going to check what is happening here. We are currently not reporting any issues in the production environment for doing searches on our APIs. The point that I was trying to make is we can use the standard search criteria from FHIR on the medicinal product definition resource. You can also implement or advanced searches also defined by FHIR. I have here an example where I'm searching for for products that have a specific authorization number. So this is a syntax that FHIR uses to search in related resources. Let's see if that will work. Yes, okay. So here I have found a specific product, which we can check later. And then my search only has one product because only one product in our database for this marketing authorization holder has this authorization number that I prepared. Important to mention also on the search endpoint, the result is always a bundle of type search set. That is a specific way to return search information through the FHIR standard. And then this search set contains multiple entries, can contain multiple entries of the type medicinal product definition. Let's see if by name I'm able to do this search again. Maybe that is the issue. Right, so I was also able to search by name, and let's see if we have multiple results here. Indeed, we do. What is important to note also is if there's a limit to the number of search results that you will get in one request, and then you can check within the bundle the link for the next page. And here we have quite a complex URL, but what is important to do is to take the parameter CT, which stands for continuation token, and use that to go to the next page of the results. I will try to do that manually here. what I'm doing right now is using this standard approach in the tool Postman to add query parameters. But what this has done is actually it has updated my query, and I'm going now to the next page. If that works indeed. And then if I want to proceed to other pages, then I can just continue as long as there is a next link here in the result. So this is again a search result with multiple resources. Right, then as I mentioned, this is a search on the resource medicinal product definition. This has a specific subset of information related to the medicinal product. And then if you want to retrieve all the information that we have on an medicinal product, we have the endpoint for getting everything, and that is using the medicinal product ID as a parameter, and then the keyword everything afterwards. So with this request, we're able to retrieve all the information that is also structured as a bundle, which then has multiple entries. However, they're all related to this product. So I have one entry for the medicinal product definition, which is the root. And then further on, I have information about packages, manufactured item, authorization information. The administrable product definition is the pharmaceutical product information and ingredients related to that. And yes, that is a simple example. Yeah, so what Conrad also showed is that we are using control terms from the rest of the SPORE platform, so substances, organizations, and referentials for structuring the data. So let's go to the ingredient to see how that data looks. So the information about ingredient is basically what pharmaceutical product it belongs to, what role the ingredient is. This is actually a reference to an RMS term. And the way we express that is by saying what is important here is that we are mentioning a system. The system is the list in RMS that the terms come from. And in this case, this is the list of ingredient role, and the term here ending in 72, if I remember correctly, is the active ingredient. And then this type of coding is used everywhere we need to express something in an RMS term fashion, as Conrad also showed. We have the information also about the term version specified here as an extension. Then we refer to SMS IDs of substances under this codable concept of the substance within an ingredient. This is the only place where we use references to SMS. So this code, which it belongs to the system of SMS in this case, that's just the convention of how we specify SMS in the API. And this code, let's go back. This code is the actual SMS ID that you can then retrieve either from the SMS API, for which you can register in a similar fashion as to the UPD API, or get this information from the SMS exports or the PLM. Yes, I have further examples here of expressing, for instance, this, the denominator or denominator as a quantity together with an RMS system and value from a specific list. Another important reference is the one to OMS data, so organization data, and that's expressed as locations with loc IDs from OMS. And that is happening in a couple of places. So one example is for the manufacturing business operations. The manufacturer location is expressed as an OMS location reference through this convention, and then marketing authorization holder and regulator information is also expressed in a similar fashion. So those fields, so we have a holder and regulator fields expressed as SMS location IDs, OMS, which I keep saying SMS. SMS does not have location IDs. So OMS location IDs. And I have now jumped to the holder and regulator information. This information is under the regulator authorization FHIR resource, which contains all the authorization information related to this product. So including its authorization number and other information. Please see chapter 2, which defines all the data elements and how they are mapped to FHIR. So this is a bit about how to navigate the information of a specific product and the endpoint to get all the information for that product. Furthermore, we have access to get information related to documents of specific products. So in this case, I'm using, I'm using the ID of this medicinal product. So you can see this is the ID of the medicinal product definition resource within this bundle, but also the ID of the bundle. Then taking this ID, I'm using this in a query on our document reference endpoint. This is again a FHIR resource, and this is a standard approach to FHIR search. So what we're doing is saying, okay, I want all the documents related to this medicinal product. I suggest you use this type of search so that you can then target your the results on the document reference endpoints. Otherwise, you will see documents from different products. Right. So with this request, we're able to filter out the documents that are related to this. What is important to see here is, okay, the type of document that we have that's also expressed as a RMS term. You will have other information, possibly a proper description, or in this case, the name of the document. And then we have the content of this document within the response. And we have that as a attachment with a content type, and the actual file expressed as base 64 code. So you would have to transform this base 64 expression into a file, which you then should be able to open locally. So this is the way to search for document references related to a specific product. If you then to keep on refreshing a specific ID and you record that, so each document reference has its own ID, and we can also get just one document reference by ID. And this returns just that specific document reference, as opposed to searching, which also I didn't show that indeed, but searching for documents of a product returns a bundle with entries for each document reference that the search returns. So that is covering, I think, most of the important use cases for browsing the data through the APIs. I have a extra endpoint to explain. So far we've looked at the current data of a medicinal product. What we offer is an endpoint to also see the entire history of changes for a specific medicinal product. The syntax is slightly different. We ask for medicinal product definition by ID, its history, and then everything. So then we will get a bundle with an entry for each version that we have stored in the API for that medicinal product. And then this is structured as a bundle of bundles in this case, because I'm searching on the everything endpoint. So then I'm retrieving all of the data for each version. You could also do this historical search just on the medicinal product definition endpoint, but that will give you only that part of the information that is related to the medicinal product definition FHIR resource. So here I have a bundle, which is of type history, And then I have version 1 of this medicinal product and its full bundle. So within it, I have another subset of entries for each actual FHIR resource. So medicinal product definition package and so on. And then the next entry in this bundle should be version 2 and then version 3. If you want to get a specific version, then you can use medicine product definition by ID as a parameter, and then history / and the version ID that you want to retrieve. So in this case, I'm trying to retrieve version 2 and everything about that product. So I'm retrieving specifically version 2 of this product. While its latest version, if we look at get everything by ID, its latest version was version 4. I'm looking here at FHIR versions of the products. Be aware, and the way the API works from a technical perspective, be aware that there are also there's also a field version that is the business version of that product, which is within the medicine product definition. However, these endpoints work with this this field and the metadata of this information. And lastly, so this version number 2, again, everything returns a bundle with all the FHIR resources related to this medicine product. With that, I am concluding the demo. I hope that was comprehensive and helpful. And I'll give it back to my colleagues. And if you have any questions, please feel free to use Slido and we'll get to those as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andre. Valeria, can we
Awesome.
the slides back? Thank you. Okay, some take-home messages for the MAH and specifically also to the super users. And the first one is really make sure that the credentials that you have, that they match the ORC IDs for your products. Without this, it is very likely that you may not be able to see all of the product portfolio. If the products belong to another organization, which is under the mother company, let's say you will need to request or repeat those requests as said by Konrad again via the EAM. And in any case, if you have any issues with API service offering from the agency, please go to the EMA service now and under the heading Union Product Database Service Offering UPD API production, please log in a ticket and someone will look into your incident and come back to you. Next slide, please. There is already a question related to other API offerings related to the Union Product Database, and would like to give you some indicative timeline of what is next in the area of APIs. Okay, so the next API, which is high on our agenda, is also an industry API to read and this time to write volume of cells data. Our goal is to have this ready by the end of June. Of course, it might be slightly delayed, but still our goal is to be achieved in the next 3 to 4 months. Hopefully this will allow sufficient time for the market authorization holders to test that, to explore, to adapt their local systems, and then maybe this will significantly facilitate the submission of the volume of cells for which the next deadline is end of February 2026 for the 2025 sales. Our next one on the horizon is an API also to read and to write availability status data, because these are the, let's say, the three elements which are required, and we hope that we will be working on the availability status API in early 2026. Of course, if we have a chance, it might be delivered earlier, I mean late 2025, but our aim is to have it in the first half of 2026. Now, I would like to move to the next slide very quickly. I'm going to run through the next slide because I promised you 20 minutes for Q&As. I know we already have a number of Q&As. Valeria, next slide, please. This is a slide with a useful and very important documents for your awareness. This will be published after the webinar, and you will be able to access quickly the relevant information. So the first one is the EMA account management, which was also managed or mentioned by Konrad. We spoke about the registration guide, the chapter 5, and the direct link to the API specifications. You will also have the opportunity to see the available sport guidance and some recordings, like useful training materials related to the EMA account management. Next slide, please. Okay, on the agency website, as you know, we have additional guidance which is regularly updated. You know that with every release, we have the release notes. Recently, there were changes to the implementation guide, chapter 2, chapter 5, and soon there will be some changes also into chapter 7. Please pay attention to those documents, and as usual, in the first page of each guidance, we highlight the changes compared to the previous version. You know that we have the webinars and training materials and the Q&As. And now I would like to jump to the a couple of QR codes, which are important also for you, where you can get also additional information, and then we'll go straight to Slido. It is highly recommended also to subscribe for the our newsletters from our value stream, and also the veterinary medicines highlights. And with this, I would ask now to move to Slido. You can see the code to use. It is hashtag UPD and API. Here is the QR code. Maybe few minutes, and now we move directly to the questions. The first question that is in Slido is what is the difference in terms of the data access between the public and the private API? The public API provide access, and it is intended for the general public, provide access to the data that is available in the public portal. So all non-confidential information can be accessed. Unfortunately, at the moment, this public API does not provide access to product documents, I mean summaries of product characteristics and public assessment reports. In the near future, we will make adjustments to the public API, and you will be able to access public information documents. The private API, which is for the marketing authorization holder, it gives access only to their own data, and it does not allow access to other companies' data. And in order to benefit or to use the private API, you need to be registered user, super user, otherwise you cannot access that data. Second question that I see here is, will the UPD MAH access enable access to all UPD product data? If not, why not? And I'll hand over to Konrad.
Yes. So I should mention that there should be a correction, because when I mentioned in slide 5 that the dark blue elements were the only elements accessible to the MAHs, that's incorrect. All elements are accessible. The dark blue is the endpoints of the API from which you can access resources that fall underneath those attributes. So hope that clarifies. And just to add on what Ben mentioned, on the first question, for the public, they do not see confidential data. So any data that is considered confidential will not be available through the public API.
Thank you very much, Konrad. Okay, the next question is it possible or foreseen in the future to retrieve also sport data like term names via the same API or API portal? I don't know, maybe Andre, would you be able to address that question?
Yes. So yeah, this information is available through API integration with the sport-specific APIs. However, that is indeed a different endpoints, different registration process as well. The FHIR standard allows for us to enrich with extra information like term names in the UPD API. That is currently not something that we have a plan for, but we will take that as a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andre. Okay, are there any plans to be able to submit data through the API in the future? The current access policy, the current implementation act for the UPD is clear that only the only data that can be provided by the marketing authorization holders or amended by the marketing authorization holders is the volume of sales, some regulatory statuses like the availability status, etc. And the UPD API for the industry will not allow submission of any other type of data other than volume of sales and availability status in the future. Okay, how do I know who is the super user in my organization? The first, ideally, you can check internally and see who's the registered user. If you have difficulties to find out the registered user, please go into the service desk, ask that question. We will look internally. Of course, first looking into your organization, see if there is a super user registered for your organization, and then we'll reply to you via ServiceNow, because this is also a confidential information and we cannot share it by email. It will be provided from ServiceNow if you have difficulty to identify the super user. Will we be able to retrieve the summary of product documents and the product characteristics? Yes, the MAH API has access to the document reference endpoints. The return payloads have summary metadata about the document, and also a binary base 64 represents of the full document, which can be streamed and saved to file. So the answer is yes. And then the next question, I think that it was also addressed by Konrad, but maybe Konrad can repeat again just to cover this point as well.
Yes, sure. So once again, we should note there's a correction. For slide 5, where the dark blue elements are not the only data attributes that are available through the API. All medicinal product information is available through the API. Those were the endpoints where you could retrieve anything that falls underneath those elements. So hope that clarifies.
Okay, thank you very much, Conrad. And in the meantime, we have received another question. Is it mandatory to use the API for the MAH to write volume of sales and availability status? Nothing is mandatory to require market authorization holders to use an API, but the whole reason for existing of such APIs is to really facilitate and to minimize the use of UI and also to make your submissions of that data as easy as possible, rather than the UI which is in use. And of course, those market authorization holders which may not wish to integrate their local systems with the UPD for the read MAH API, or for the submission of volume of sales and availability status via API in the future, they will continue, of course, as usual, to use the UI. And I think that this is the last question. Okay, let's give a couple of more minutes. Maybe some other question may pop up in the meantime. If not, I will wrap up.
Yes, absolutely, Bayan. So if no other questions, then we will move on to a short, really short survey to understand how you liked this session, whether you would like more, and if everything was clear or you need some further clarification. So let's see. Maybe we'll give it a minute and then move on to the survey before closing.
Sure.
I'll just switch the survey
I
on.
do not see any new questions coming in either. Therefore, yes, please.
Absolutely. So I see already some participants responding. Please, yes, feel free to let us know what you thought of the session, because that really helps us in planning the future ones and what to adjust, etc. So yeah, your feedback is really important.
Thank you very much. As usual, the materials from our presentation will be saved and uploaded where the webinar was announced on the agency website, as well as the recording. Usually it takes about a week for the recording to be ready and uploaded. So let's say that maybe end of week next week you will have the materials and the webinar recorded. Thank you very much for your questions and for your participation. If you have any issues or if you require further information for technical issues, please use ServiceNow. For general questions, please do not hesitate to contact us via Ask EMA. Thank you very much.